Picture this. You're scrolling through social media and suddenly you see a post that makes your blood boil. Someone is arguing the complete opposite of what you believe. What do? If you're like 73% of people, you block them. You mute them. You create your perfect little bubble where everyone agrees with you. But here's the thing that'll make you uncomfortable. What if that person you just silenced was about to make you stronger? What if avoiding that disagreement just made you weaker? I know. It sounds crazy. Why would listening to someone who's obviously wrong help you? Why would you want to hear ideas that challenge everything you stand for? Well, there was this 19th century philosopher named John Stuart Mill who discovered something brutal about human nature. Something that most people today are desperately trying to avoid, and it's costing us our mental strength. See, Mill realized that our biggest enemy isn't the person who disagrees with us. Our biggest enemy is the comfort of never being challenged, because when we're never wrong, we're never growing. So here's my question for you. When was the last time someone changed your mind about something important? Can't remember? That might be the problem. Now, let me tell you about John Stuart Mill. This wasn't just some armchair philosopher sitting in his ivory tower. This was 1859, and the world was exploding with new ideas. Darwin had just published On the Origin of Species. Marx was writing about revolution. The entire foundation of society was being questioned. And Mill, he was right in the middle of it all, watching people tear each other apart over ideas. But instead of picking a side and building walls, he made a shocking discovery that would change how we think about truth forever. He realized something that sounds completely backwards. Even the people who are dead wrong about everything still have something valuable to teach us. Even false opinions, he said, contain fragments of truth that we desperately need. Think about that for a second. The person whose political views make you want to scream? They might be holding a piece of the puzzle you're missing. The colleague whose approach to work drives you crazy? They might see something you're blind to. But here's where it gets really interesting. Mill discovered that it's not just about learning from others. It's about what happens to your beliefs when they're never challenged. He compared it to muscles that never face resistance. What happens to a muscle that never lifts weight? It atrophies. It becomes weak, useless. Your beliefs work the same way. When they're never tested, never questioned, never forced to defend themselves, they don't become stronger. They become brittle, fragile, like glass that shatters at the first real impact. Mill put it this way: the only way to know if your belief is true is to see it survive its strongest opposition, not its weakest, its strongest. So here's what I want you to think about. What belief are you protecting right now? What idea have you never really had to defend? Because that might be exactly where you're most vulnerable. Let's talk about what's happening inside your brain right now. There's this thing called confirmation bias, and it's literally rewiring your neural pathways every single day. Your brain is designed to seek information that confirms what you already believe and to reject anything that challenges it. It's not your fault. It's evolution trying to keep you safe. But here's the problem. Safe doesn't mean strong. When you only consume information that agrees with you, something fascinating happens in your brain. The neural pathways that support your existing beliefs get stronger, like highways getting more lanes. But the pathways that could process opposing ideas, they start to weaken. They become like abandoned dirt roads. Mill understood this before neuroscience even existed. He saw that people weren't just avoiding opposing views. They were losing the ability to even comprehend them. Their minds were literally atrophying. Think about the last time someone tried to explain a viewpoint you disagreed with. Did you really listen? Or were you just waiting for your turn to speak? Be honest. Most of us spend that time formulating our counterargument, not actually processing what they're saying. This is what Mill called the dead dogma problem. When our beliefs are never challenged, they stop being living, breathing convictions and become dead dogmas, things we repeat without really understanding why we believe them. And here's where it gets scary. In our modern world, we've created the perfect storm for mental atrophy. Social media algorithms feed us exactly what we want to hear. We choose news sources that confirm our biases. We surround ourselves with people who think exactly like us. We've built the most sophisticated echo chambers in human history. Mill warned us about this 160 years ago. He said that when opposing views disappear, the meaning of the doctrine itself will be in danger of being lost. You stop understanding not just why others disagree with you, but why you believe what you believe in the first place. So here's my question. When was the last time you actively sought out someone who fundamentally disagreed with you? Not to argue, not to prove them wrong, but to genuinely understand their perspective. If you're realizing right now that your mental muscles might need some serious exercise, hit that like button. And if you want to keep building that intellectual strength with me, subscribe, because we're just getting started on this uncomfortable journey. Let me tell you about Abraham Lincoln. In 1860, he did something that seemed political suicide. He appointed his biggest rivals, the men who had fought him for the Republican nomination, to his cabinet. His advisors thought he was insane. Why would you surround yourself with people who think you're wrong? Lincoln's answer: I want to be challenged by the best minds, not comforted by the weakest ones. And you know what happened? That team of rivals helped him navigate the Civil War and preserve the Union. Those opposing voices didn't weaken his leadership. They forged it into something unbreakable. Or take Charles Darwin. When he published On the Origin of Species, he didn't hide from his critics. He actively engaged with them. He corresponded with religious leaders who opposed him, scientists who questioned his methods, philosophers who challenged his conclusions. Each criticism forced him to refine his theory, to find better evidence, to think more clearly. The Darwin we remember today wasn't shaped by his supporters. He was forged by his opponents. But here's what's really fascinating. Mill himself lived this principle. He was raised in an incredibly rigid intellectual environment by his father, James Mill. Everything was predetermined, every belief was fixed. But instead of accepting this mental prison, he actively sought out people who disagreed with his father's philosophy. He engaged with conservatives when he was liberal, with religious thinkers when he was secular, with traditionalists when he was progressive. And each encounter didn't weaken his convictions. It refined them. It separated what was truly valuable from what was just inherited dogma. Now, let's bring this to your world. Think about the most successful people you know. I bet if you look closely, they all have something in common. They actively seek out criticism. They hire people who will challenge them. They ask for feedback that stings. They put themselves in rooms where they're the least knowledgeable person. Why? Because they understand Mill's harsh truth. Comfort is the enemy of growth. But here's what most people get wrong about this. They think engaging with opposing views means you have to change your mind about everything. That's not it at all. Sometimes defending your position against strong opposition actually makes you more confident in it. But now that confidence is earned, not inherited. Mill called this the collision of adverse opinions. Like two pieces of flint striking together to create fire. The spark of truth emerges from the friction, not from the isolation. So here's your challenge. Identify one belief you hold strongly. Now, instead of seeking confirmation, go find the smartest person who disagrees with you. Not to convert them, not to prove them wrong, but to understand why an intelligent person could see the world so differently. What do you think you'll discover? Here's where Mill's philosophy gets revolutionary. There's this concept called antifragility. Things that don't just survive stress, but actually get stronger from it. Your immune system is antifragile. Every virus it fights makes it more capable of fighting the next one. Your muscles are antifragile. Every workout that breaks them down builds them back stronger. But what about your mind? What about your beliefs? Most people treat their opinions like fragile glass ornaments. Beautiful, precious, but one wrong touch and they shatter. They protect them, hide them away, never let them face any real pressure. And you know what happens to glass that's never tested? The moment it faces real stress, it breaks completely. Mill discovered something different. He found that beliefs, when properly exercised against opposition, become anti-fragile. They don't just survive attacks, they grow stronger from them. But here's the key. There's a massive difference between having the right answer and actually being right. You can stumble onto the correct conclusion through pure luck, through social pressure, through inherited tradition. But that's not the same as earning that conclusion through rigorous testing. Mill put it this way: he who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that. Think about that. Even if you're 100% correct about something, if you can't explain why the smart people who disagree with you are wrong, then you don't really understand your own position. This is what separates genuine conviction from mere opinion. Genuine conviction has been through the fire. It's been attacked by the best arguments the other side can offer, and it's emerged not just intact, but refined, stronger, more precise. Let me give you a practical framework Mill would approve of. I call it the Devil's Advocate Protocol. Here's how it works. First, take any belief you hold strongly. Now, argue against it. Not half-heartedly. Really try to destroy it. Find the best arguments the opposition has. What are their strongest points? Where are the weak spots in your position? Second, steel man their argument. Don't create a straw man that's easy to knock down. Build the strongest possible version of their case. Make it so good that someone from their side would say, "Yes, that's exactly what we believe." Third, now defend your position, but not against the weak version, against this steel man. Can your belief survive? Does it need modification? Does it need to be abandoned entirely? This process is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. Comfort is the enemy of truth. But here's what happens when you do this regularly. You develop what Mill called mental courage. You stop being afraid of opposing ideas because you know your beliefs can handle them. You become intellectually anti-fragile. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more willing you are to be wrong, the more likely you are to be right. The more you test your beliefs, the more confident you can be in the ones that survive. So ask yourself, are your beliefs fragile ornaments that shatter at the first challenge? Or are they anti-fragile convictions that grow stronger under pressure? The answer to that question might determine everything about how you navigate this complex world. So here we are. You've made it this far, and that tells me something important about you. While most people are building walls around their comfort zones, you're here exploring ideas that challenge the very foundation of how we think. That takes courage. That takes intellectual honesty. And frankly, that makes you rare. But now comes the real test. Because everything we've talked about, Mill's insights, intellectual antifragility, the power of opposition, it all means nothing if it stays theoretical. The question is, what are you going to do with this? Here's my challenge for you, and it's not going to be comfortable. I want you to find someone who fundamentally disagrees with you about something important. Not someone who's slightly different. Someone who sees the world in a way that makes you think, how could any reasonable person believe that? Maybe it's politics. Maybe it's religion. Maybe it's how to raise children, or what makes a meaningful life, or whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Whatever it is, find that person. But here's the crucial part. Don't go in trying to convert them. Don't go in trying to prove them wrong. Go in with genuine curiosity. Ask yourself, what would I have to believe about the world for their position to make perfect sense? This is what Mill called the discipline of listening. It's not passive, it's not weak. It's one of the most mentally demanding things you can do. You're essentially trying to think with someone else's brain, to see through someone else's eyes. And here's what I predict will happen. You'll discover that this person isn't stupid. They're not evil. They're not brainwashed. They've simply had different experiences, different priorities, different information that led them to different conclusions. And some of those conclusions might actually make sense. Now, this doesn't mean you'll change your mind about everything. Mill wasn't advocating for intellectual relativism, where all opinions are equally valid. Some ideas really are better than others, but what you will discover is that your own beliefs become more sophisticated, more nuanced, more robust. You'll stop seeing the world in black and white and start seeing it in high definition. But I want to be honest with you about something. This path isn't easy. It's much simpler to stay in your echo chamber, to surround yourself with people who always agree with you, to never have your fundamental assumptions challenged. Most people will choose that path. The question is, are you most people? Mill believed that the pursuit of truth was the highest human calling. Not the possession of truth, the pursuit of it. Because the moment we stop questioning, stop testing, stop growing, we stop being fully human. So here's what I want you to do right now. If this message resonated with you, if you're ready to start building real intellectual strength, write the word courage in the comments below. Because that's what this journey requires. The courage to be wrong, the courage to be uncomfortable, the courage to grow. And if you've stayed with me until this very moment, If you've absorbed Mill's harsh truth and you're ready to apply it, then you're already stronger than you were 20 minutes ago. You're already part of that rare group of people who choose growth over comfort, truth over convenience. The uncomfortable conversation is waiting. The question is, are you ready to have it? Your intellectual strength depends on your answer.